Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. In this video, I'll be talking about active recall, a study technique that, along with spaced repetition, has helped me a lot in my studies both last year in my final year of high school and also this year in my first year of university. So this video will be divided into two parts. Part 1, what is active recall? And part 2, how I use active recall. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, because why not? And let's get into the video. So active recall is essentially testing your knowledge and understanding of the content that you're learning. This can be done through questions that you write for yourself, past paper questions, or if you have a study group, asking questions to each other. I came across active recall in late 2018 after watching two of Ali Abdaal's videos on evidence-based study tips, which I recommend that you also watch if you haven't already. The link to those videos will be in the video description down below. In one of his videos, Ali also recommended the book Makeitstick, written by a group of American scientists. I read the book at the end of 2018, and it really changed the way that I approached studying in my final year of high school. Now, before coming across the term active recall, I sort of had an idea of how I was meant to study for tests and exams. Like, I used to just rote learn the content, especially in subjects like humanities and science, and then I would get someone to test me on them. But what I found was that I don't want to say wasted, but I used up a lot of energy trying to have a mental image of the passage that I was meant to memorize. And I also tried to memorize the position of those words on the page, which was time consuming. So after being introduced to active recall, I changed my way of studying and did reasonably well in my final year of high school. Not to say that I didn't do well in my earlier years in high school, but it just helped me consolidate and memorize things better. Which brings us to the second part of the video, how I use active recall. So the way that I use active recall now in university is by making a list of questions based on my lecture slides and the lectures themselves. I'm currently in my first year of medicine, so there's a lot of anatomy and physiology that we do. So I'll explain what my process with this is in 4 steps. I would watch the online lectures, because my lectures are mostly online at the moment, and I would have a PDF version of the slides on my iPad. So as I'm watching the lecture at 1.25 times or 1.5 times speed, I find that 2 times speed is really fast, so I don't do that. So as I'm watching, sometimes the lecturer would say additional things that aren't on the slide, but which I think are important. So I would annotate the slides and highlight the keywords. I would then, preferably on the same day and straight after I've watched the lecture, go on OneNote. If you like to handwrite your notes, you might like to divide an A4 page into 2 columns. In one column you can have the questions and in the other the answers. Or you can just write the questions if you don't want to spend more time writing down the answers. So I would then type the headings of the lecture, just to get an idea of what the lecture is about. Then I would go to each slide and turn what's written on there to a series of questions under each heading. I like to be really specific when I'm writing my questions, so that when I do go through them, I'm more likely to retrieve the content from my brain if the prompt, i.e. the question, is really specific. So the next step after doing that is the understanding part, because we can't just memorize words without having an understanding of the content in the first place. So for this, we need the lecture slides again, and also the textbook or the internet. Most of the stuff in anatomy and physiology can be learnt by visualization, so I would go through the slides and get a general understanding of each concept that's covered. If I don't understand something, or if I need more context, I would refer to the textbook, Wikipedia, or other websites. And the thing with textbooks is that it should only be used to find specific information. It's probably best not to read from chapter 1 to chapter 10 because you probably won't retain the information. So the key thing to do in step 3 is to read the lecture slides and other sources to get an understanding of the concepts, and try not to focus too much on the details. After I've gained a general understanding of the content, it's time to do some active recall. So I would usually do this on the following day with a fresh mind. I would have the questions on one side of my laptop screen and the lecture slides on the other. Then I would go through each question one by one and look at the relevant information on the slide and try to memorize this by saying it aloud. And because I've made sure to understand the content in the first place, the words won't be new to me, which means it will be easier to memorize. And I would do this for all the questions. So after this initial understanding and memorization, I would incorporate spaced repetition to make sure that I retain the information for longer. Which brings us to the end of the video. I hope it helped and you gained inspiration from it. This is just my way of doing active recall. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you all next time.